I'm inside my new solar workshop. It just finished being constructed, and right now it's looking more like a junk pile. I don't even have a workbench built yet, so there's a lot of stuff just laying around, and it's a real disaster zone. But hopefully, in a month or so, I'll have at least a workbench, and I can start doing something useful in here. I'm just going to do a quick walk around. Really, there's nothing to see, but just for the sake of doing it. And keep in mind I don't have a stabilizer, so you might want to skip this part if it's too shaky. Alright, I'm going to pick the camera up. I'll do my best to keep it stable. So it's about 20 by 30 depending on how you measure it. I'm going to have a lot of insulation here hopefully, and quite a bit of the wall thickness, so I'm going to lose some square footage. I should end up with at least 600 square feet. It's not focusing too well, but you get the idea. There's all the piles of junk. Got me some lumber. I got some green foam board. The foam board is 2 inches thick, and hopefully it'll be better than nothing. It's not a very high R value. It's an R10, but it's better than nothing, I hope. While we're on the topic of insulation, the white stuff you see there on the wall is it's not double bubble or single bubble insulation. This is a foam product that has foil on one side and a vinyl finish on the other. And I would think it's better than double bubble or single bubble type products. I have rarely ever heard of it being used in a metal building. I think it should be. Wow, that's not focusing. Let's try to get some better footage. Okay, this is going to be a bit shaky, but I turned on a shop light I have propped up against the wall. I don't know if that will help or not. Here's the product I'm using. I got 2,000 square feet of this approximately installed on the building. And I don't know if it shows or not, but it's about 1/4 inch of foam. And you have this foil type coating on the outside and a white plastic sheet on the very thin plastic sheet on the other side. So you have a radiant barrier, just like double bubble. But instead of bubbles, you have foam. And there's some advantage to that. Double bubble or single bubble tends to pop. If you drive a fastener through it, it will pop. If it has any problems, if it gets any sharp object or anything, of course it will pop. Whereas foam is pretty resilient, and it pretty much will seal around the fasteners, and it's a little tougher. I'd say it's quite a bit tougher. However, the metal coating comes off very easily. The reason I use this product is I wanted to have insulation in the workshop right away. I do not know when I'll be able to do any further insulation work. It's a complete mystery. However, this product is already installed all the way around except the floor. So that means I have some R value. Okay, it's not a lot, but at least I have the radiant barrier and I have insulation, and it's better than just steel walls all around you, which is not going to be very helpful for insulation. Actually, it's zero insulation. And as far as power, I just so happened to have a single circuit that was in the shed that was torn down, and I wired it up, and I have probably 15 amps of power. That's it, 120 volts, and I've wired it up there. It's just gray cable coming up through conduit, and that was saved from the last shed that was here. However, I plan to run this workshop off of solar, and so it will be running off of batteries and solar, but who knows when that'll be done. And there's power here, and I'm going to use it for lights and saws and whatnot while I'm setting everything up. And now I'm outside the shed. I'm just going to do a quick walk around. So it's, pretty run-of-the-mill metal building. And this camera doesn't have wide angle, so it's hard to see. I do have an overhang all the way around, which is very nice. And the overhang will help keep the weather off, keep the foundation dry, which is very nice. Fit and finish is not perfect. I got some work to do, and I need to seal up for mice and bugs. It's going to be a lot of work, but it'll have to be done. Here's a view of outside the workshop, and it has a single roll-up door, which I'm not a huge fan of because it's hard to seal them, and they let out a lot of air and bugs in. So I'm going to be doing some videos on how to seal those up. They have some fairly common problems, which are pretty annoying, but can be fixed. I don't know when that video will be out, but it's definitely on the list of things I'd like to do. And back at the door, and I'm just going to go into a quick summary of plans for this workshop and how I'm going to set it up. So right now there's not much to look at, but I plan to go ahead and make this a solar powered workshop. It's going to be pretty much off the grid. I will have a battery bank in here to power my house in the event of a power failure. And I will probably have some storage shelves I'm going to build and some different things in here. That should be a pretty interesting video once it's done. And I'm also going to be doing some very interesting projects with solar. I currently have a few thousand watts of solar panels coming my way. I don't know when they'll be here. They're on truck freight and it's slow. Those are used panels that I bought. I really blew a lot of money on them and I hope they're good. I never bought that many solar panels before. And once those panels are here, I'm going to try to very quickly get the first project started. And I think it will be extremely exciting. And I have not seen a lot of information about this type of project on YouTube. So I think that'll be pretty interesting. When I tore down the shed, I went from lumber poor to lumber rich. I now have a lot of 2x4 and 2x6 material. Some has nails, but it's really good, and that means I can now do a lot of projects. I really like to work with wood. I like carpentry, and so that opens the door to carpentry related videos. The installation install is very high priority right now because we're going into winter. I will certainly do one or more videos on installing the insulation. I will also be doing a radiant barrier, which may not make a lot of sense, but the foil face foam product is actually in many places in contact with the metal sheathing on the building. Therefore, it defeats the radiant barrier or much of the radiant barrier effect. Now, for me, that's not really a problem because I just wanted the foam, honestly. If it didn't have foil on it, I would have still used it. So that doesn't really bother me. However, it does mean I'll have to spend additional money on a radiant barrier. So I'm going to integrate a radiant barrier and the 2-inch foam board in an attempt to keep the heating and cooling costs down. Now, I intend to heat and cool this building off grid. It's going to be powered by solar. And that should be a handful of videos there. I would think that's quite interesting. As soon as I have the first video in that series ready, I will upload it. But right now I'm just scrambling to get this workshop in a condition where I can actually do anything useful in it. To wrap this video up, I don't intend to show every single thing I do in here because it would be probably really boring. But if there's any particular type of video you want to see, or you have any questions, or you're curious about anything, feel free to drop me a note on YouTube and I'll get back to you. And I am quite slow in responding to comments. I can't help it. I do have some issues and health problems that I have to deal with, and they greatly limit my computer time. And of course, video editing requires computer time. And so I'm pretty slow, but I will get back to you. Don't take it personal. I definitely care about it. The comments, and I will reply. When you next see this workbench, hopefully it will be completed. I will then bring in the solar equipment I have waiting and start working on installing that here in the workshop. I can't really do anything like that until I have a workbench at least. There's just no point. There's nowhere to work, and there's nowhere to keep the equipment up off the floor. So I will have that in here as soon as possible, and I believe the next 2 or 3 videos are going to be solar related. And I think they're going to be pretty cool. So hopefully I'll have that done in the next few weeks. I hope you enjoyed this quick update about my solar workshop build. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.